Oh, welcome back to the Pine Hockey Eagles postgame show. We're live at Ocean Casino. You can see the big sports book right in the back. The Eagles are now 8-1 as they take care of the Dallas Cowboys 28-23. And it got really precarious at the end where everybody on earth thought they were going to blow that game, but they do survive it. It's time for Extending the Play with Mark Farzetta. Mark, first of all, tell us about the charity EBOD.
EBOD is a wonderful charity, and we had the awesome experience of going out there about a month and a half ago at a golf tournament to help raise money for them, and we're now taking part of it as well. Just like any football team, the strength, of course, lies in its players. Any team working together can help combat anything, especially Alzheimer's, and help with research as well as caregiving to combating Alzheimer's as well as dementia. And this November, being Alzheimer's Awareness Month, JAKIB Media joined forces with the EBOD Foundation, the EBOD Foundation, to lead the charge for a cure. Your donation today not only helps support its critical mission to fund research and help others, but also enters you to win a trip to the big game in Vegas. This is your opportunity to win 2 tickets to the big game and 2 nights stay at a hotel and $2,000 for cash and expenses while you're out there. All you got to do is text the word SCORE to 833-202-9835. That's 833-202-9835 and receive info on how to enter for this fantastic trip. Together, let's triumph over Alzheimer's. And also, make sure you use the hashtags right there, Team Miss, Team Seth, Team Gun, and Team Farzy. Here's what I know. Team Joyner there, Team Seth, is now creeping up on Team Missinelli.
Well, you know
now
why.
Creeping up late in the game.
You've been whining every week about it.
Hey,
of course
man,
you're going to creep up.
It's like they said when they cut the monkey's tail off. Won't be long now.
I was going to say the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but okay.
I was an all-pro. I wore number 59. Miss Nelly just a talk show host. Come on. What's wrong with you people?
Eagles Hall of Fame.
Kelly, you ever hear me say any of that?
Just sometimes when I'm listening over there, but not while I'm on the desk with you guys.
Really?
Mark, I mean, you have a great Extending the Play today because this is there's a really interesting statistic that has just been published. Why don't you share that with us?
This is incredible. And, again, just keep in mind he's done a lot of this on one leg. But let's just say, Jalen Hurts today, with this win improving to 8-1, becomes the 7th NFL quarterback since the 1970 merger to start at 8-1 or better through 9 games in consecutive years. He joins Peyton Manning, John Elway, Troy Aikman, Roger Staubach, and Burt Jones. And wait, there's more. Jim Kelly's also on that list. And guess what? Jalen Hurts is the youngest quarterback since 1970 to achieve that feat.
Wow.
That's your quarterback. That's your quarterback 2 straight years, the youngest to accomplish that feat. That is absolutely
Pretty
incredible.
amazing. Especially it's amazing that Burt Jones is on that
Burt
list.
Jones is on that
My
list.
God. Kidding me?
1976, 1977 with the Baltimore Colts.
Yes. Well, that's spectacular.
Before the
Well,
Mayflower
yeah,
Trophy.
see, here's the thing. That's why, to me, like the most important thing is his health.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
when I look at it, and you know, the point John McMullen made is that the running game depends so much about him because the way the defenses look at that. If he can run the football, it obviously gives a whole new dimension to your running game. And if he can't, which I thought would be a problem today, but the Dallas Cowboys wound up, squandering that kind of an opportunity.
Yeah, it's crazy. Every once in a while, you hear a point and you go, it's like a come to Jesus moment. You go, oh, that's right. How many times with Gardner Minshew starting when we saw him last year with the Philadelphia? Did we hear guys like Miles Sanders or other running backs talk about the impact that Jalen Hurts has in the run game? If he is not 100%, I don't care what anybody says about the Philadelphia about Jalen Hurts' knee. It's an injury. All right, it might not be the most serious thing in the world. It might not
Something's
knock
wrong
him
there,
out
yeah.
of games. But the bottom line is, and nobody's 100% once they play their first game of football. Seth, I'm not telling you anything there. But when it comes to Jalen Hurts, he has not been 100%. I don't even know if he's been at 90%. But he has been, to use his words last year when he had the shoulder injury, he has been healthy enough. How are you feeling? You feeling good? Good enough. Good enough is 8-1 in back-to-back seasons, youngest quarterback ever to do that. That is wildly impressive. And when you talk about his health, to get him back to as close to 100% as possible is absolutely the key above anything else throughout this bye week.
Listen, he's not going to complain about his health because everybody's hurting. You know, the injury piece of it keeps you from doing what you do effectively, but everybody's hurting, at the end of the day. And this is why, you know, my expectation for the season was for Jalen to come in and be more of a pocket passer, then run all of this RPO and read option stuff. That's the next elevation, in my opinion, for him as a quarterback, to be able to operate from the pocket efficiently and only use his athleticism when necessary. But we keep talking about how the run game is going to suffer without his ability to run. You know, we didn't have Jalen Hurts running in weeks 3 and week 4 when we was racking up, you know, an average of 230 yards a game running the ball. We had DeAndre Swift and Kenny Gainwell running the ball with some efficiency. So don't tell me it's not possible. We don't need that. The really good quarterbacks, the great quarterbacks, or the pocket quarterbacks, they don't do that. You know, Patrick Mahomes runs when he needs to. They don't run RPOs and read options in Kansas City. Come on, man. You know, so teach this kid, let this kid be a quarterback, and then use his legs where necessary. To me, that's what's going to keep him healthy. But if we keep this nonsense up of having to run him around a corner or, you know, gain the extra guy in the box, you know, and try to run him on draws in the red zone, you're just asking for trouble. Because, you know, the odds say that sooner or later when you operate in that way, sooner or later something negative is bound to happen. So why tempt fate any more than you necessarily have to, in my opinion?
Here's what he did today. He came after the third quarter. Everybody say, well, my God, is he even going to play the third quarter? Right? He comes out and engineers 2 drives for touchdowns that put the Eagles in charge in this game. The first drive, he made a scramble throw to Swift, which was a great escape. And then he throws a perfect bomb to Devontae Smith at 29 yards for the touchdown. And then in the next drive, he had the short cross to Goddard, a major play for 29 yards to give him a first down, and then the swing pass to A.J. Brown for a touchdown. This is the third quarter when we thought, my God,
he might not come out.
Can he be effective?
2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row now. We're very worried about him going into halftime. Last week, I even jumped up in our green room. I was like, get him out. He's not even close to healthy. I'm terrified. I don't want to get him any more hurt than he already is. And then he comes out looking healthier than ever. I mean, I don't know what. Look, Aaron Andrews came out at halftime, after halftime, and said that he knee drained at halftime or something like that. In Nick Sirianni's, or no, he got an IV. Excuse me, very different.
Yeah,
he got an IV
in Nick's office, which is a peculiar place to get it.
I'm no doctor. I have a communications degree. All right, that does not seem like it's the right place to do it, but I guess that's where they do it.
It was like Bud Kilmer in Varsity Blues, right?
They give him the IV. James Vanderbeek went to bat for him.
Exactly.
And
it's a more comfortable chair in Nick's
He can relax a little bit. He doesn't have to be all tensed up.
Trainer's table.
Hey, he's different. He's different.
Okay.
Even though you're supposed to treat all players the same, that guy's making an average of $50 million a year. You don't treat him like everybody else. You find a nice, cushy place for him to lay down and catch his breath.
Come in here to the lounger.
Yeah. Some are more
we'll
equal
work
than
the
others.
IV.
Yeah.
I think he's just been absolutely phenomenal this year. And I go back to when everybody talks about the Eagles' weapons. We know what A.J. Brown can do. We know what Dallas Goedert can do. We knew last year when Gardner Minshew came in, and I said I never want to see him again. I want to see Jalen Hurts all the time, every single time. He's the real deal at this point, and I think everybody is really starting to believe that. The Eagles believe it. Nick Sirianni believes it. I think the fans obviously believe it as well. But really just the NFL as a whole. I mean, he's going to be in the conversation when these teams are competing. Oh, is it Lamar Jackson against Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes against Jalen Hurts? I mean, it's not only the physical attribute, just the mental game that he brings, I think is top-notch in the league.
Well, he's phenomenal. No, I mean, listen, I don't know what to say. That's why I'm so worried about his health and his bone bruise. All right, let's get some game balls in here because that's brought to us by the great people at Colony Pools. Let Colony Pools power wash your home. Now's a good time because it's all cruddy. You know, you get the fall, that damp air came in and crudded it up with that green mold on the side of your house. Colony Pools will take care of that. They'll also close your pool. Now's the time you guys think about closing up that pool. I know you hate it, but you get your Kelly Green pool cover. They have all kinds of other sports covers with Philadelphia Sports. Let Colony Pool power wash your home and close your pool. Check them out online at flywithcolony.com. All right, game balls. I realized that I shortchanged Zach Cunningham today. So I'm going to give him a game ball.
Wow. All right. Linebacker.
He had 10 tackles. He had 1 tackle for loss. He had 9 solos. That's pretty good effort by him today. And it got by me. So I'm going to give him a game ball.
All right, you're going to go with
I sat right next to you the whole game. How the hell did it get by you?
I was eating ice cream at the time, I think. I don't know what it was.
How did I miss the ice cream? That never happened.
I went outside to get it.
Had a sweet tooth. As far as the game ball goes, from me, I gotta look at Brandon Graham. I mean, the thing that's amazing about this performance tonight from Brandon Graham is you rarely seen him all season. You're not seeing him out there on the field nearly as much as you have in years past. Coming off his first double-digit sack season, as we know the history. But to come in here with barely being able to get a sack on the season and come in here with a sack and a half against the Dallas Cowboys before the bye week to be able to make sure you're shutting down those Cowboys. After Zach Cunningham, I got to look right at a guy like Brandon Graham and say that he absolutely stepped up for this Eagles team today. He gets my game ball.
I'm going to have to go with Jalen Hurts, and I think that could be an obvious answer. But listen, not only the yards he puts up, 207 passing yards, 2 touchdowns passing as well, just the way that he was able to find different guys on the field today as well. It just wasn't the A.J. Brown game. We saw a lot more of Devontae Smith. We talked at halftime, and we said, is Jalen Hurts going to come back out? Is he going to be okay? They get the ball first, and he comes out, and he possibly looks even better. The way that he's able to play in these situations, I'm just glad he's on the Philadelphia Eagles because I'm excited to see what he's going to do for the rest of the season. But I have to give it to him. He puts the team on his back each and every game, and we really saw it here today, even though he was banged up.
I'm in agreement. I think the way he gutted it out, I think that when you looked at that injury, the hit on his knee right before halftime, you had the sense that, potentially he might not, come back out in the second half. And you saw McKee stand there on the sideline kind of, loosening up. And, the confidence that Nick had in him, he actually burned the timeout so they didn't have to bring McKee in, for one play. But the way this kid grinds it out, when things look bad, he'll find a way to get it done. And, to be going through the pain that he was actually going through and having to get an IV, at halftime to get himself ready to perform in the second half, I give him a lot of credit. I mean, he is a warrior. He's a gamer.
All right, let's move now to the drive of the game. And we didn't even talk about the start of this game. But the start of this game was very important. Dallas gets the ball first, 3 and out, first series of the game. This is exactly what the Eagles want to do. They want to get their defense on the field to get good field position. So in the first series, they score. Now, we're used to this now, but this is the Cowboys game. They score in the first series. But in that drive, which I think is the drive of the game, they convert 2 fourth downs. One of them, they go push to get the first down at their own 33. Now, Bryce Harper does that. Well, I was doing that when they did that because I would probably have not done that at the 33. Interestingly enough, on that push, they tried the hard count about 4 times, and then the clock's running out, boom, they execute it like it was nothing. And then later on a 4th and 3 at the 28 of Dallas is when he makes a nice throw to Goddard on an out for the first down, and that led to the game-well sweep. So I'm going to go with that as my drive of the game.
A great one. Obviously, it set the tone, Mike. Hard to disagree with it. The only one I will acknowledge other than that one is coming out in the third quarter. And, I mean, it was a brief drive. It wasn't like that one. I'm talking about now a drive that only lasted 6 plays and went 60 yards. And if you pointed out a bunch of times, you talk about the special teams playing into this with a kicker kicking it out of bounds and then a face mask happening here on Evans, for instance, to start that out. You see Jalen Hurts come out and start that third quarter when we were having it in question as to whether or not he's going to be healthy enough to come out and play. Rashad Penny all of a sudden appears on the field. He goes out there and he rips off a 6-yard run. Then he only goes for 2 runs, so he gets 8 yards right out of the gate. And then Jalen Hurts makes the scramble play for 4 yards. Then he buys time to be able to find a guy like DeAndre Swift down the field for 8 yards. Then he hits Swift again for 11 yards on that. And the next thing you know, right in the breadbasket of Devontae Smith. So forget about whether or not he's going to be able to come out and be healthy enough. He was right back in MVP caliber form for those 6 plays. So that to me was the drive that not only was one that helped the Eagles get back the lead in this game, but it was also a drive that made you feel about Jalen Hurts being out there and being healthy.
Not bad.
Can breathe a little bit. I'm going to have to agree with Mike, and I think I take that over the out-of-halftime drive only because I've probably been one of Kenny Gainwell's biggest critics, and I said, here we go once again. They're getting ready to score, and we don't see DeAndre Swift, and he shut me up real quick. So being able to see Kenny Gainwell get that confidence, this coaching staff sees a lot in him, and they obviously like him for a reason. So being able to see that, him maybe get that confidence back, it was really good to see. And they don't utilize the run game, I think, as much as we all want them to. But seeing that in the beginning, I thought they were going to go to it a little bit more. They didn't, but definitely was one of my favorite drives of the game.
I'm going to break protocol here, and I'm going to take 2 because the Eagles went in at halftime. They were down 17-14. They come out, they go 6 plays, 60 yards, touchdown. They go up 21-17. They hold Dallas, to a punt. They go 8 plays, 32 yards. Dallas has the punt. The Eagles get the ball back again, 11 plays, 87 yards. They go up 28-17. In my opinion, those 2 drives basically, broke the back of the Dallas Cowboys until we got into the fourth quarter and you started doing some goofy stuff, over on our side of the ball that allowed it to be more of a game than it really should have been. Because if they don't come out and do that and everything else plays out the way that it does, we're sitting here having a different discussion about this game. So I think the whole purpose of deferring to the second half is to be able to hopefully score some points right before the half ends and then get momentum and then come out in the second half and get the first series in the second half. Well, they came out the first 2 series and just drove the ball a total of 17 plays, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, what more could you ask for your offense to do in the second half of a football game?
All right. We got to take a break, and we're going to come back and close this down. But I have to say one thing. First of all, our drive of the game presented by the good folks at Rafferty Subaru. It's all about you, Rafferty Subaru. I do not understand. I think too much about this because I just loathe kickers so much. I just do not understand how a grown man NFL kicker can kick off out of bounds. I could see missing a field goal, folks, right? Because you have to kick it through uprights. There's a skill involved in that. When you kick the football off, how is it possible that you're kicking it off? And it's Rashad Penny. It's not Devin Hester that you kick the ball out of bounds. How is that possible? Let me tell you something. If I was a football player, and I know Seth is, and I know he thinks the same way I do, I'd beat that guy's ass with a sock full of pennies after the game for kicking it out.
Wow.
You gave them field position at the 40-yard line, Seth. Stop it. How is it possible?
Hey, listen, I always say the kicker's got 2 jobs. Kick that damn ball through the end zone on kickoffs and kick it through the uprights when you need to kick it through the uprights. That's your only job. But I will give you this analogy just to kind of shed some light on it, okay? We played golf a couple of weeks ago. You were living in the fairway. How many greens you hit in regulation?
Well, I didn't hit any. But I'm not paid to be a professional football kicker.
You got a point. But
I'm a schmo.
I'm just
trying to play golf like everybody else.
I'm just trying to add a little perspective to it, Mike. That's all.
I gotcha. All right. Stick it up for the kicker. I never thought I'd get to see the day. Let's take our final break of the day. We'll come back and put a wrap and talk about the injuries that happened in this game on the Pine Lock Eagles postgame show, live from Ocean Casino. Back after this.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season. And let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.